It's time for another session of Purposeful Productivity. Welcome. And in this live stream, we're going to talk about some techniques that you can employ to accomplish your daily task with ease. We want to make that daily set of activities and achieving your goals a smooth ride. No real big bumps, no extremes from one thing to the other, from one extreme to the right to the left. Just a smooth ride to get through your day. This channel, Equip Institute, is where you get your strategies, your processes, your approaches that you can use to reduce the friction in your systems and improve your ability to achieve your goals. Oh, yeah. I'm Florence. I'm a coach and a consultant, and I work with purpose driven leaders to do exactly that, to reduce friction, to get rid of being overwhelmed, which we all can do, and to help you achieve your priorities. So, let's talk about what this means tonight. And again, this is purposeful productivity. One of the things that we do, because we work on this in this digital world so much, is we need to create an efficient digital desk setup. It is really key for any leader to be productive, for that digital workspace to be well organized and to help us stay on focus and to help us reduce that stress. So, we're going to talk about a couple of things that you can do to achieve that very goal. But before I do all of that, I want to say hello to those who are out there in the building with us tonight. And I am going to get you here on screen with me because I want to say hello to some of my friends out there. And I'm going to start with Miss Inanea. Welcome to the show, ma'am. So glad to have you in the building with us tonight. And while you're here, drop some of your knowledge and some of your wisdom and a question in the comments for us this evening. I don't want to lose track of those. So please join us in the conversation. And good evening, Frank Jackson. Glad that you're here. Thank you for always being here serving. And for everyone's knowledge, Frank is not only in the chat, he's actually in the lounge with me live. He's waving at me and probably and making faces at me. So glad to have you here. I'm a little bit off center, but it'll be okay. So what are those things? Well, number one, we're going to talk about is organizing your digital task in your digital workspace a little bit. And I'm going to start with this. Let's start with removing anything that distracts you and that is not necessary for you to accomplish your daily task. Let's start with cleaning your desk space, for example, your physical desk space, and then cleaning your digital workspace. I I have been in offices and seen people who have so many files on their digital desktop, you can't even tell it's a desktop. When I've looked at those, I'm thoroughly confused. I have no earthly idea how those people find anything that they're looking for, any document, any slide deck, any Excel spreadsheet, any graphic that they're looking for because there's so much spread out all over their desk. To me, that digital clutter is just like your physical desk clutter. You've got so much on there in different places that you've got to move a pile to find another pile. So that first place to start is get rid of that stuff. I have gone so far that sometimes when I've just had to declare, if you will, digital bankruptcy, and I take all the stuff and I just stick it in a folder and label it organize this mess. So if that needs to be you, it's okay to take that step to get your digital desktop cleared so that you can begin to see what you've got. Similarly, and I recently did this. I'm going to show you a piece of paper. You're not going to be able to read it, but if you want it, I'll share it with you. Just this week, there is typed text on here. But this week, I took I just typed this out and reorganized the categories of my areas of focus. And for me, I knew I needed to see it on a piece of paper, not just on the computer in my note taking app or in my document app or even on a graphic. I needed to see it in a plain piece of paper, just typed out, so I could see how the areas related to each other. And so I've got my inbox. I start my email, my file folders on my computer, my note-taking application, my my physical planners, which I'll show you. I start with an inbox concept. That's where anything that's coming into that space is going to go first. So I use inbox in as many places as I can, that concept, because that just tells me it's where it's coming in. It's not going to stay there. This is one thing I encourage you to do in terms of getting clear. Set up your file system, your email, your note taking system, your task management system with an area that you call it inbox or landing zone or whatever word resonates with you. I worked with someone, coached someone, and they said, I'll call that the landing zone because it makes sense to me. And I thought that works great. It's the same concept. And we went through and put this landing zone in as many places where this individual worked as we could. And what it has done for her is help her not have to look in so many different places for new information that has come in that day or that week. Because she then clears that landing zone either every day or every week. Let me tell you what I do. I have you may have heard me say this, but I have two environments that I work in. I've got my corporate environment and I've got everything else. So I as much as I could, I've duplicated both environments to be as close to each other as possible. So in my corporate environment, I work in a Microsoft Windows and a Microsoft 365 environment. My task manager is in Microsoft 365 in the Planner app. My note taking system is in Microsoft 365 in OneNote. In both, I have an inbox. In my email, I have an inbox. In the rest of my life, which is all Apple, I've done the same thing. My computer files, I've got an inbox folder. Some people call it downloads, but I've actually literally got a folder called inbox. In my task manager, I've got an inbox. In Evernote, which is my note taking application, I've got an inbox. And that's where information lands, whether it's a file, a graphic, a word processing document, spreadsheet, a PDF, it lands in the inbox. Email comes in, of course, in your email inbox. So that's the first thing. Now, how does it apply to what I wrote on this sheet? I've talked about I'm a hybrid person. I do a lot on the computer, but I also still, my brain still resonates with paper. So this week, after I made this list, because I needed to deal with it, I took my mobile planner, which is this little pocket planner, and it's a little thin thing, but it most of the time stays in my purse. I made the same sections in it that I have in my digital. And I took that list and I broke it up into business, inbox, business, personal, and then some storage spaces. And then I just put little tabs here that you can see 1, 2, 3, and it means those. Well, the same list is what I have on this piece of paper. This goes in my purse. Why do I have this in my purse? When I'm out and about, I am much more likely to grab this sh- notebook and write down information. When I have errands, I'll write them in here. Some people will print a piece of paper and stick it in here. That's just not the way I do it. You could, it would work the same. But I just write it in here and say, oh, these are the errands I'm going to run today. This is like, I'll give you an example. I needed to ship a computer about a month ago. So I just wrote down the address on a sheet of paper, put it in here because this was going to be with me, the address where I was going to ship it to, the value of the computer, and I just had it in this binder. When I got to the FedEx location, I opened this up. I literally showed the clerk the address. I didn't have to read it to him. I just opened it to the page, showed it to the clerk. The clerk put it in, and away the computer went to where it was going. Made it very easy for me. So this is my little on the go, but I have an inbox, which is a couple of just blank pages in the beginning. And if I'm going to throw something in, somebody gives me information, I just throw it in here. Another example today, I did something and I wanted to remember it. Instead of this one, I grabbed this out of my purse. It'll go back in my purse. It stays in my purse all the time. At home, I use my red. Hold on, I got to reach it. I use this as my scribble book and my landing page where I put everything. Well, each day is just a page, and I just put information in and treat them like an inbox. So this is what lives in here, and calendars and other things that I track lives in this book. It's a Hobonichi if you've never heard of one, and I love it. And the reason I love it is because this is an entire year and then a whole year in one book. So I can get the whole year in here and I don't need another one. And I want it to stay together. But on top of that, you're gonna laugh. I told you I'm hybrid. I have I have tons of these filofaxes, and every month I change one, and these sit by my bed. And as I have thoughts when I'm on my nightstand, I'll grab them and just write them in here. Why? I was taking my Hobonichi back and forth. I figured out friction, right? I wanted to get rid of it and make it smooth. This I needed to stay on my desk because I naturally look for it on my desk. So that meant I needed to have something that was by my bed that I wanted to use, that inspired me, that I got pleasure from. I get pleasure using these. I change my pen. I have bunches of them. I change a pen to what I want to use. I change my binders to different ones, but the inside mirrors what's on my computer that I put on this list. So I have inbox, I have the business and checklist and content creation and marketing and networking, meaning meeting people and building relationships, revenue and expenses. We all need to track that. And some other volunteer. And then I've got personal or home categories broken down. Well, my computer is set up the same way. My note taking is set up the same way. My physical binders are set up the same way. This one and my computer file. So no matter where I look, I'm seeing the same setup. My brain doesn't have to take the step to figure out, is it different because I'm on this computer or that computer? My file folders mirror each other. My note taking systems mirror each other, and my physical systems mirror each other. That is setting up your digital, in my case, it's both digital and physical workspace so that it's efficient and my brain knows exactly where it's going to look. It knows what it's going to look for. And when it sees it, it's going to operate. I have another step to go through. However, I've got some other tools that I use that I've got to go through and reorganize them into the same layout. The reason I did this was because I needed to see how it all fit. And for me, it works when I've got it, I can see it laid out, and then I can work with it on screen, work with the data on screen, work with the setup on screen because I know what I'm making on screen mirrors exactly what I'm looking at on this physical list that I've typed out and printed. I rarely print, but this was one of those cases where I did print and it works for me. So if you have a question, let me know. Go ahead and put a comment in and put a question, a Q colon in front of it, and I would love to answer it. So make sure that your digital workspace is set up consistently. Your folders, what you name and label, content or areas or buckets, that the names are consistent regardless of which computer you're in, which tablet you're on, which phone you're on, which physical notebook you use, make them consistent so that you don't have to be wondering where is the information that I want. I called it Johnny over here and Bobby over there. If you call it Johnny in every place where you're going to put that type of information. So, if you got a question, let me know. I would love to answer them. Hey, Roy, you were in our neck of the woods this week. So glad to see. Glad you got home safe. So the next thing is we talked about the next item a little bit this week, but that is setting up your physical desk and your computer where it's comfortable for you. That means put your monitor at eye level so that it's comfortable. Have a very comfortable chair that you can sit in for long periods of time. Have a desk that works for you. I use a sit stand desk so I can adjust it if I want to stand up, I hit a button and it raises, and because my computer, my monitor, my microphone, my lights, the way they're positioned on this desk, even my teleprompter, which I use more for eye contact and looking at people in the lounge who are bothering me, that's okay. I have them all mounted to the desk. So when I raise the desk, they all stay at the same relative height. When I lower the desk, they stay at the same relative height. So set up those types of things. Set up your accessories so that they're ready for you to use. For me, I change my pen almost every day. So I'll make sure that the pen, whether it's a ballpoint pen, a pencil, a fountain pen, a gel pen, whatever type of pen that I want to use, is where I want it to be. If I have a particular book I want to use, I lay it out the night before. And we're going to come back to preparing for tomorrow. Today, my notes are set up. The other thing I do in preparing and making my space ready is I arrange items on my desk in a way that makes sense for me. I use fountain pens. So my ink, my favorite colors are lined up on the desk on the corner, the edge of the desk in the order that I prefer to use them. That may be extreme for someone, but I use fountain pens and I use bottles of ink. Like this one is a brown and I use it in a certain pen. So that's why it's that way. This is a blue. It's called Hiroshishuku. It's a medium blue. That's another one I use in a certain pen. So these stay here on the desk where I can get to them very quickly. Make sure that whatever that is for you is comfortable and it's laid out in the same place all the time on your desk. When you get up, you leave your desk, whether it's in your home, in an office, even when I was in my car every day and I was driving back and forth, I had a setup in my car where things were in the exact same place in the exact same way so that I didn't have to think about where is the information I need when it's in the car. So just do those things. The other is use the type of equipment that is good for you. And I'm talking about ergonomic equipment. ergonomic keyboards. People who use one of my keyboards, they laugh because they can't, because I use split desk keyboards, ergonomic mouse. I got this um, boom stand because I wanted to be able to position the microphone without me having to strain or stress or adjust where I was sitting, that it would adjust to me instead of me having to adjust to it. I tried using the type that sit on the desk. That didn't work for me. So all of those types of tools that you can set up helps you be efficient. Why? When you go to do your work, whatever that is, your environment is ready for you to go. If this is making sense to you, let me know. If you're getting some good tips, let me know. And thank you, Frank, for answering Tech Troublemaker, because I don't know the brand of this desk. I'll have to tell you how I got this desk. Mr. Moderator was talking about it. This was 2 or 3 years ago. And I was looking for one, and he shared it with me, and I got it, and I absolutely love it. It's long enough and it's deep enough, but not too deep for me. So that's what I've got. And I see a couple of other folks hanging out here, so I'm going to say hello to them. And hello, Mr. Hicks. So glad to have you in the building with us today. You certainly can talk about. Um, you can certainly talk about being efficient because you do your work extremely well. The other person I did see, and I just wanted to say, I saw you, Roy. Where'd you go? I know you're in here. Oh my goodness. I'll go to this young lady. Hello, Yolanda. Loved your show last night. I don't even like football. Frank, let me just tell you, I don't even like football. And this young lady has me watching her show and she's teaching me football. You know, forever I've said I do not understand the game. And it looks like, you know what? Stop. Y'all, he over here talking about like touchdown. You funny. But I loved her show and I love the information she's putting out. And yes, happy Friday, Live Tribe. So thank you all for being in the building and happy Friday. And I saw one other person. Where'd you go, Roy? Hello, Roy. You're doing your family duties and keep it up. And I'm glad you had some restful time with your family this week here in the DMV. So this is the one thing I got to get a hold of, these earpieces. So those qualities make a difference in having a smooth operation so that when you go to do your work, you can, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, whether it's volunteer, whatever it is, when you go to do those things that are important to you, your environment, your digital environment, your computer, your tablet, your phone, is set up and ready for you to operate, and you don't have to be looking for what did I call that folder? What did I call that file? Where did I put it? Did I put it in this folder or that folder or the other folder? Did I rename it? Where do I, because it's all set up and ready for you to go. Your physical workspace is set up and ready for you to go. When I sit down, this is not the most complicated environment or setup for live streaming and video creation, but the thing that makes it work for me is when I go to sit down, it's a couple of button presses and I'm ready to go. What does that look like? Thank you, James Hicks. My lights, I touch a button, the lights come on. My microphone is on a boom arm. I position it. My chair is a comfortable one that I love. My desk is at the right height. My computer monitor is at the right height. I hit a button, it rearranges the uh, boxes on the screen so that for what I'm doing, they're in the right place. My mouses are ergonomic. It's a MX3 master mouse, so it's got some programmable options on it. My keyboard is one that I'm ready to, my Stream Decks, which y'all know I love, are ready to go. I don't have to think about figuring out. anything. I just go to work. That's really what it is. To include opening folders, opening files, starting up um, browser URLs, opening applications. I've got them all set in profiles, programmed on my Stream Deck, ready to go. Things that I text that I use regularly, I've got them in a text expander snippet so that I can just use them. These are some tips that I would implore you to employ. Use them to your benefit. So we do have a question here, and I want to go back to it. And the question is, so we're going to do a little bit of Q&A. I struggle being consistent in my organization when I'm rushing. Do you recommend working on a strategy to slow down, or do you have a tip when rushing? I rush all the time. And the reason I can be consistent is because I've made my environment, I've put things where they always are. Like I said, this book stays in my purse. I pull it out when I'm intentionally going to go out. So, and I put in it what I need. When I'm out, if I'm grabbing receipts, I stuff them in here in this pocket so that when I get back in, I've got the receipts in the same place. They're just not thrown in my purse and I'm rushing. So, mobile, something small, I could just really take this and I have almost everything I need um, with me. My keys are in a certain kind of case. My driver's license is in a certain kind of case. Everything has a place, and that's the key. That's the trick. That's the cheat code. Everything has a place. Now, I'm probably a little bit more particular about it, like even down to my clothes. I'm very particular about it. I'm not particular like I have to have a certain style. It has to be functional for me to be able to move quickly. So that's one thing. That organization and being consistent falls into that category of everything having a place and having a particular utility. My glasses stay in the case. My sunglasses have their own case. They live in a certain place in the car or in my bag where I know where they are. In terms of being on my computer, I will make a mess. I'll put files on my desktop. I use a program called Hazel, and it goes through at the end of the day and moves all of those files off of my desktop. So I don't have files sitting on my desktop at the end of the day. Once it gets into my inbox folder, I also use automation using Hazel to move those files into the set of folders that I have created on my desktop, right? In my note-taking app, same layout, a very similar layout, and once a week I go through my inbox and I move things around. I'm moving quickly all the time. All of the time. Except, well, let me just say, except for today, y'all. Yeah. My Windows computer. Yeah, it was not happy today. It wasn't. It finally I finally got it back at like 3:15 today. So I was on my phone, my corporate phone almost all day today. So it made me slow down. Um and I do recommend do this one thing in Anea if you don't do anything else. Make sure every day you set aside, you block off time for you, no matter what. You can have spouse, you can have fur babies, you can have children, you can have corporate needs, you can have someone you're the caretaker for, all of that. It is critical that you block off some time every day for you. When you do not, you are not good for them or you. And I know it's hard. It is so hard to do that. It tugs on our heart when we want to be available for other people and to meet their needs. My best friend reminds me all the time, put my own mask on first. That means take care of yourself first so that you can take care of others. You cannot take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. So, yeah, if you're rushing and being consistent, and I will tell you, sometimes you need to do what I did. I just typed up, like almost like an old fashioned typewriter, what does my organization setup need to look like? And I just typed a list, printed it, and I had to look at it and say, does this make sense for where I am right now? So those are some tips. Hope they are useful to you. And if they're not, let me know. And if they are, let me know. Thank you, Yolanda. Yes, time for self is so important. And yes, I agree with you. Time for self is so important and it's hard. I don't fool anyone and say it's easy to do. It is so hard to take that time because so much pulls on us. Our family pulls on us, our jobs, our careers, our business, our partners, those we serve, our ministries, they all pull on us. But again, if you don't take care of you, you cannot take care of others. Philip, glad to have you in the building with us this evening. Glad to have you in the building. And Frank is over here messing with y'all to and he put this in Zoom. So the lounge is in Zoom. So if you ever want to join us in live in the lounge, let me know. We'll be glad to have you come in. And he says in Zoom, don't touch anything. Yeah, don't touch anything. I get so confused when stuff gets moved. I have no idea where it's at. I get totally confused and discombobulated. So yeah, that's why it has to be in a place. It has to have a place and it has to be there. Thank you. I love that for you. Well, thank you. That I'm not sure what you love from me, but I want you to love it for you, young lady. I want you to love it for you because you are a powerful, powerful woman and you've got a lot to give the world. So let's move on to number two because we're taking a little bit long. And this one is probably even more my favorite than the last one. This one I really love preparing for tomorrow today. There's a common saying if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Well, you do have to get ready. Today, you need to get ready for tomorrow. Today, you need to get ready for tomorrow. I call that preparing for tomorrow today. What does that look like? Well, a few things. Number one, set up your task that you need to do tomorrow, set them up today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do that today. And where does that fit? Well, break down the areas of your life. In my case, it's business, it's my spiritual life, it's my home, it's my corporate life, it's volunteer service. I consider each of those areas every day. And I go into my task management software and I look for what are the important priorities for tomorrow. Usually I'm looking at least 3 days ahead that I need to be aware of. So I put it on my list. Then when that long list starts, because we always put more, I start filtering. What thank you, James Hicks. What are the top 3 goals to achieve tomorrow? Because you're not going to achieve 20, or 30. You're doing really well if you achieve 1 to 3. So then it's like you got to make some decisions. Make the decision. What are those top three? If you stretch it, you may go to five, but usually about three. Top three goals for tomorrow. Now, they may be a combination of parts of your life. They don't always have to be in one area of your life because remember, you have one life, you're one person, you have 1,440 minutes in the day. Every minute is valuable. So when you consider what those top objectives for the day are, they're going to take some portion of that 1,440 minutes that you have. You don't get three times that or five times that. You get it one time. So arrange those things in priority order. For those who've been around a while, you may remember the ABC 1, 2, 3. What are your top three? And then once you say, these are my A's, these are my three A's, which order do they need to be done in? What's first, what's second, first, what's third? I'm not talking about what time of day they get done. I'm talking about the order that they get done in. Okay? Really hone in on making that decision. Now, let me say this. I am not talking about those routine chores that you do every day. They happen daily and weekly. We know that you got to do certain things. Wash the dishes, for example, cook a meal. Maybe it's drive the children somewhere to school or wherever. You got to get dressed, do all the things that's required. So there are routines that are part of our life. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those things that are going to move your life forward, whether it's your business, your volunteer service, your personal life, your corporate life, whatever it is, those things that are going to move your life forward in those areas. That's what we want to focus on. And then this is what I do, and I encourage you to do. I take those three, no more than five, usually it's three top objectives, and I write them in my planner for that day. And that's what I'm looking at as I go through my day to achieve. And as I achieve one, I line it off. As I achieve the next one, I line it off. As I achieve the next one, I line it off. When I have them all lined off, they're done. One thing that's on my plate right now is a 21-day content creation challenge. I know that's an additional something that's going to last for 21 days. I'm going to come for you, Miss Yolanda, because you just did something somewhat similar. And I mean that in a positive, loving way. And so every day right now for 21 days, that is one of my top priorities because I've made a commitment so that I improve what I'm sharing and how I'm sharing it with you, the people who show up, the people who watch these videos, the people who engage with my newsletter and other types of content that I produce. I want to improve my skill in that area. So every day I'm doing something and it's prompts that I'm following. That's not going to last forever as a challenge. It's to build a habit. Once the habit is built, it becomes routine. So that's what I mean by preparing for tomorrow today. Things to look at also your calendar. What meetings are coming up tomorrow in the next 2 to 3 days? Do you have what you need? What do you have the documents that you need? Do you know where they are? Are they organized in the folder where they need to be? Do you need to open them ahead of time? How much time before each of those meetings do you need to make sure that your computer or your phone or whatever is set up? Today, I shared my whole world went upside down when my corporate laptop would not come up. So I had to adjust what I prepared yesterday But because I have a backup on my phone, I was able to run my business, my corporate day from my phone, open files that I needed. Why? They were in a place where I knew how to get to them quickly from my phone. So, what's on your schedule? What do you need to prepare? Who do you need to reach out to and connect with? Make sure that list of people, especially if you're in business, you may need to reach out to people. Every day, there are people I need to reach out to, connect with. I want to make sure I know who they are, why I'm doing it, what do I need to remind them? What questions are you expecting to get an answer from someone for? You're waiting on it for them. What are you expecting to get back? What answers are you waiting for? Have that available so that you don't have to go looking for it. You know exactly what it is, and you're not having to remember it. It's out of your brain, and you can look at it objectively. So, number 2, prepare for tomorrow today. These 2 things, number 2 and going back to number 1, organizing your digital task, your digital workspace, and a little bit of your physical will ensure that for you to accomplish your goals, it's going to be smooth sailing. It's going to be you can move, you can operate, you can achieve, you can keep going when everything else around you is falling apart. Today was a prime example for many, 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 many folks. Some people couldn't function. Some people said, "Oh, I've got a backup plan because I've already planned for today, yesterday. I've got my systems in place." You make a small adjustment and you keep on trucking, right? Okay, now y'all doing too much. Y'all, I have to say this. Hey, baby, how are you? I have to call you. You are doing some wonderful things, which you always have. You always have. And thank you for saying it. And you are one who, by the nature of your profession and just the nature of who you are taking care of so many people all of the time. Y'all, that was Dr. Jennifer Cottle. If you have not heard anything from her, go check her out, Dr. Jen Cottle. She is America's family doctor. So she's also my baby sister. So I'm just gonna spill the beans. She's my baby sister, and I love her dearly. And Yolanda, the I said I was gonna spill the beans. So you're doing a series, right? So that's not gonna last forever. You're doing a very specific series on football basics for people like me who don't understand football. And that's a top priority for you. So you've had to map it in to everything else that's going on in your world. That's an example where you laid it out, you knew what you had to do, and you focused on it for a very specific period of time, but you had to prepare for doing each of those videos and each of those sessions ahead of time. You couldn't just wake up and say, "Oh, I decide I'm going to do session number 9," and you haven't done session number 8. So that is an example. And yes, Mr. Hicks, eat that frog, knock out the hardest task early in the day, and give yourself some grace in case you don't get them all done. That is so, give yourself grace. Give, be kind to yourself. We are kind to other people. We are not always kind to ourselves. Be kind to yourself. Remember, you have to take care of you first, and that's in all senses. That's your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. It's all parts of you before you can take care of anyone else. You just simply have to make you a priority. So, with that, I think I've covered what I wanted to cover today. And I am so excited that you all have joined me. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a part of the community. Drop a question in chat if you have any. Drop a question in in the comments even after you watch this video. And if you want to be in the lounge with me live, let me know. I'll be glad to have you join. And I look forward to seeing you guys back here at the next time we come together next Friday. And of course, I'm gonna link a video right here, and I want you to go over there and watch it, and I'll meet you over there and go forward and make it the best day you can possibly make it. Get rid of the friction. Good night, everybody.